Hi, I'm Sam, I'm 18 years old and I identify as bisexual and transgender.
Hey, I'm Margot, I'm 21 years old and I'm a transgender girl.
I'm Menachem, I'm 20 years old. I grew up in an Orthodox Chabad background and I'm bisexual.
My name's Alyssa. I identify as gender fluid and I'm gay.
My name is Navozison, I'm 20 years old and I identify as trans and non-binary.
Something I came to realize around the age of about 15, 16, and I don't know, it was a growing realization I was attracted to guys. And eventually I worked out that it was possible for me to be attracted to guys and to girls, to people of all genders.
Growing up when I was really young, I was really involved in the community. You know, I'd go to like the annual Purim service and I'd do all of the kind of Jewish community daycare stuff, and that was really good. It felt great. As I got a bit older and started contemplating the idea that I might be LGBTI, I started to have doubts and I started to kind of drift away from the community. And for a while I felt a really strong sense of being at a crossroads, like I had to choose a side.
So growing up as a trans queer person in the Jewish community has been really interesting. Trying to find a good safe space in the Jewish community was really important for me. I know that a lot of queer people sometimes will just disconnect, and I totally understand why. But for me, I really needed to find a place where I could still identify strongly with Judaism and feel safe, because that was such a big part of who I was.
I haven't encountered much conflict with the Jewish communities about my gender or sexuality. Occasionally there will be some conflict with the more orthodox streams of Judaism, but no, generally it's been quite positive.
My relationship to Judaism has evolved over the past few years in that I've become a lot more active in my community, and that's happened parallel to finding ways to help people in my community understand transgender identity better.
I think because Judaism is so diverse in how many streams there are and how many different values and denominations, there was always going to be a place that I could find comfortable. Being part of my Jewish youth movement was really important for me because it's a cultural movement, and you know, we focus more on the cultural aspects of Judaism. So there was always space for me to kind of be myself and reflect my Jewish values in different ways.
I think we've come a really long way, and it's incredible to see how much openness and progress has been made in certain streams and communities in Judaism. But I think we have a way to go, and I'd like to see those little pockets of change become a big, universal, resounding yes, we welcome all Jews, Jews of all identities, and that includes LGBTI Jews.
I don't see any discontinuity between, you know, having a Jewish identity and LGBTI identity. You know, people think, oh no, you know, you either got to choose or something. It's just like, you got to be yourself.
I think that being both Jewish and LGBTI can definitely work, and not only work, but the two can complement each other, and that these two diverse forms of identity work incredibly well together. But I have felt that there are Jewish spaces that won't accept me as a queer Jew. Judaism has a long and proud tradition of social justice, of welcoming the stranger for you are a stranger in a strange land, and of love thy neighbor as thyself, and to reject someone for an inherent part of them is contrary to all that the rabbis have taught us.
So I'm a student at the King David School, which is a progressive Jewish day school in Victoria. There's a discussion and action group called COSA, which stands for Queer Other Straight Alliance, which I was president of last year. It's a really good example of the LGBTI community working with the Jewish community in hopes to gain more support for kids struggling to come out to their parents and kids struggling to find what they identify with, and just provide general support for the community where it's needed.
I've got to admit, when I was growing up, especially in the earlier years, I wasn't sure that I believed you could be both LGBTI and Jewish. It was only when I kind of started to get a bit older and meet people who were really actively involved both in the LGBTI world and the Jewish world, and really proud of both of those identities, that I started to see it was possible, and it's actually a really beautiful thing when people don't have to hold anything back or feel like they have to make a choice.
People, I think, are ready to have these conversations that they weren't ready to a few years ago, and I think that's really significant. I think just listening is such a large part of making progress.
There is a Jewish LGBTI community, and it's not Jewish, it's not LGBTI, it's Jewish and LGBTI.
My advice to any young Jewish person who feels like they identify with the LGBTI community would be just to not sacrifice your own identity for the comfort of others. Yes, it's hard, but it does improve with time. I know that's really a cliche, but people's understanding does improve once they start getting exposed to new ideas and new concepts.
There are Jewish spaces that will accept and include you, that will actively work to make your experience of Judaism a more positive one. And it may be difficult to find them, or they may not be the same places your family are, or your school is, or your friends are, but with a little effort on our part, we can find those places and we can build those communities.
Know that you're not alone, and that there are so many people out there who have actually paved the way for you to have a pretty good time. I was really lucky that I had people paving the way for me, and now there's even more.
I know things can feel pretty scary, and I know things can feel a bit isolating at first, but please know you're not alone, and there's a lot of support out there. There are groups like Minus18 and Y Gender and Aleph and Keshet and so many others, so please seek them out, and please, don't be afraid to start having those conversations.
I hope that the Jewish and LGBTI communities can both learn from each other and learn ways to accept each other. We need to do a lot of work to make sure that we're including everyone. We absolutely have a right to exist within Jewish spaces and to define our own relationship to Judaism, whatever that may be. If that's believing that God made you this way and that this is an expression of divine will, then that is valid.
I'd also just like to see the more modern Orthodox or Orthodox communities kind of recognising the LGBTI people within their communities.
For everyone else who doesn't know as much as they can about issues regarding the LGBTI community, I really urge you all to, get involved, and don't be afraid of what you don't know.
Be the one to extend the olive branch, be the one to start the conversation. For an LGBTI person who's in the closet, it can be super terrifying. But if you're the one, reaching out and letting them know that they are welcome, not singling them out, not targeting them, but just letting all people know LGBTI Jews are welcome here, that can have a monumental and profound change in a person's life.